Alright, so in prereq 7 still, we're on rational expressions. Just going to take a look at some examples here since we just went over everything. Whenever you're looking at this, remember, when you want to simplify and combine like terms like this, you need to factor first. So all this means is a bunch of factoring. We need to factor the top. So I'm going to factor that one first. So what two numbers multiply to give you 6 that also add to give you 5? 2 and 3, right? 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So that factors into x plus 2 and x plus 3. This bottom here, what two numbers multiply to give you negative 20 that add to give you negative 1? Negative 5 and 4, right? Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. So we got a negative 5 and a positive x plus 4 there. Then on to this one. What two numbers multiply to give you negative 4 that add to give you 3? Negative 4 and negative 1, right? 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 4 plus negative 1 is 3. So I end up getting x plus 4 and x minus 1. And the last one, the bottom there, what two numbers multiply to give you negative 2 that add to give you 1? 2 and negative 1. Because 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And 2 plus negative 1 is that 1 there. So when I substitute those in, I get an x plus 2 and an x minus 1. So now because it's multiplication, all those just kind of get slammed together. And now I just cross out everything in common. I have an x plus 2 on both the top and the bottom. I have an x plus 4 on both the top and the bottom. And I have an x minus 1 on both the top and the bottom. So all that's left is an x plus 3 and an x minus 5. And there's your answer. With the next one, because it's division, right, you don't just divide them, so you want to multiply by the reciprocal, which means I need to flip them. So really, now it's just like the last problem, and I need to factor everything again. So I'm going to start with the first one. What multiplies to give you 8 that adds to give you a negative 6? It happens to be negative 2 and negative 4, because negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. And negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6. So that gives me x minus 2 and x minus 4. On to the bottom, what multiplies to give you 6 that adds to give you negative 5? Negative 6 and 1, because negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. And alright, so then the next one is x squared minus 4x plus 4. So what two numbers multiply to give you 4 that also add to give you negative 4? That's negative 2 and negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. And negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. So that factors into x minus 2 and x minus 2. Last one is x squared minus 7x plus 12. So what two numbers multiply to give you 12 that add to give you negative 7? Well, negative 3 and negative 4, right? Negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. So you're left with x minus 3 and x minus 4. So we jam everything together, and we get things to cross out that cross out, which just happens to be x minus 4. So that's all that we're left with. And if you wanted to, you could rewrite that as the x minus 2 cubed on top, but it's really not going to make much of a difference. Alright, who doesn't like bumper cars? Taking a look at this one, when we're doing a problem like this, you need to find something that is similar for the bottom and put it together. But before we can find common denominators to find something similar, we are going to need to factor the bottom. So when we come back, we will factor the bottom and figure out what is in common.